This episode is all about accepting your greatest fear may be your greatest gift. As you're listening, as you're watching, get yourself in a really gentle space, because at the end of this, I'm going to take you through a very gentle guided journey for you to really start feeling into what your gifts are. Welcome to Accepting, where I guide you to accept all aspects of your beautiful self, embrace your truth, and live your life that way. Hello, gorgeous, and a warm welcome to Accepting. I'm Aline, your host. I'm a mentor, a channel, and a coach, and I love to see highly sensitive people and empaths in all walks of life flourish. So grab yourself a cup of tea and let's dive in. This episode is all about accepting your greatest fear may be your greatest gift. So what I would like you to do is, as you're listening, as you're watching, get yourself in a really gentle space, because at the end of this, I'm going to take you through a very gentle guided journey, just 5 minutes, just to start for you to really start feeling into what your gifts are. Now, in the previous episodes, if you haven't seen them or listened to them, then please do go back. We talk about it starts with accepting. We talk about accepting healthy boundaries. We talk about accepting the 3 Fs. We talk about accepting the inner critic, accepting your sensitivity, and also about fawning and creating space. This episode is going to be all about, once we've got that space, what is the best way for us, because one size doesn't fit all, what is the best space for us to start nurturing our gifts? So what we'll cover in this episode is a very quick recap of the previous episode about creating your space. I'm then going to talk about various ways that you can start feeling into what your gifts are. And then lastly, I'm going to take you through a really, really gentle visualization that can get you into a very gorgeous space before you start exploring your gifts. Okay? Now, the reason I have called this episode Accepting Your Greatest Fear May Be Your Greatest Gift is because as empaths, as highly sensitive people, if we weren't understood when we were growing up, we pushed our gifts down and down and down and down to the point that we may have a negative reaction to them, to the point that if something comes up, an opportunity to nurture these gifts, a beautiful opportunity that's going to push us forward, we do everything to avoid, resist, and distract ourselves from this opportunity, because we've managed to instill into ourselves through various situations that this is danger, that this is a fear, that actually this beautiful gift of writing that we have, or speaking that we have, or singing that we have, or creating, or tarot card reading, or channeling for people, whatever it may be, there's so many. And I see sensitivity with the healing arts and the creative arts, with the performing arts, with the all. I call it all creativity. I call it all sensitivity. For me, it's all about sensitivity. So it's first acknowledging where it may have come up, and we go through this in the episodes on sensitivity, where it may have come up in your formative years, where your gift was bursting through and you were told this was silly, or don't be so stupid, or you can't do that, or you can't do this, etc., etc., etc. And as well as doing this, it's really important to acknowledge that those around you who were saying this is silly or saying this is stupid just didn't understand, and also that they had your best interest at heart, and they were trying to keep you safe. And once we acknowledge that in our formative years, it's from a place of their fear, it's from a place of what they know, it's from a place of misunderstanding. So it's really important to have compassion and kindness for how you've got to where you are. And it's really important to have compassion and kindness for those people who didn't necessarily show up for you throughout your life because it was their own fears. So that's massively important to start with. As we're looking into where those situations have shown up, where we've pushed our gifts down, that we're hugely compassionate with that whole area. So what I would invite you to do is gently, and we did go through this in the sensitivity episodes, is gently start looking at, and again, we're reviewing, we're not reliving, is gently start looking at where did you start pushing your gifts down? And as you look at that, you start to realize actually what are your gifts? Because it may be that you pushed your gifts so far down that they didn't show up in any way, sense, or form. It may be that you pushed your gifts down to a point where you started adapting them in a different way. So, for example, it may have been that as your gorgeous gifts were coming up, that they were seen in a different way by those around you because, as I mentioned, they can only come from a place of their knowing and their understanding, and they encouraged you to go in a different direction. So, for example, if you loved performing, you loved the performing arts, and you were seen as too sensitive, you may have been encouraged to be in a role where you would be speaking to people. You may have been encouraged to be in a role where perhaps you were a teacher, or you were in sales, or you were a lawyer, or however that came up for you. So it may be that your gifts may not have been pushed down entirely and may have been used in a completely different way. And it's recognizing how have those gifts shown up for you, or did you push them down entirely? So that's what I would like you to feel into to start with, and get yourself in a really gentle space when you're doing this, and put some music on, because remember, we are reviewing, we're not reliving. So for example, it may have been you really enjoyed drama and performing arts, or you really enjoyed singing. And this may have been seen by those around you if there's too much competition, or you're too sensitive, this isn't a proper job, you're not going to get anywhere doing this. So they've moved you elsewhere. And being empaths, people pleasing, we've gone in that direction because in our formative years, as sponges, we're following those who are guiding us and who are telling us what to do. So it may have been that your gifts, let's say they were showing up in performing arts ways, they may have been pushed in another direction that was seen as a proper use of them. And again, no judgment. This is just acknowledging and recognizing and having that eureka moment of, okay, so this is where my gifts are showing up in how I show up today. And it may be that you pushed your gifts down entirely, and when anything comes up that is to do with you, I don't know, maybe joining Amdram or joining a choir, then you see this as danger because it's been treated in such a negative way that you go into fight, flight, freeze response and do everything but, and resist and avoid and distract and don't take any action on it because it's come up as a fear. So it's being really, really, really gentle on yourself. So first of all, that's what I would like you to do, is pen to paper in a beautiful environment that you create. Just notice where those gifts may be being used now, or if they're not being used at all. And be really, really honest with yourself, because you may be feeling, well, actually, I'm just naturally good at this. I'm a naturally good listener. I'm a naturally good speaker. I'm a naturally good carer, and not actually recognize these as gifts because it comes so naturally to you. and you don't realize that these are showing up in a different way of what your actual gifts are. So it's getting really, really gentle and compassionate with yourselves. And if your gifts are showing up how they actually are, wonderful. I'm talking about for those of us who were guided in a different direction because our gifts were seen as not necessarily useful to help us move forward in life. So this is, again, with compassion and kindness, so much compassion and kindness. Now, once you've got this and you're starting to look into this, I would just choose one gift at a time, because what we don't want to do is get into overwhelm. We just want to feel into which one wants to come up at the moment. And you'll know what that is. Your mind, body, and soul will know what that is. You may be a wonderful composer. You may be a wonderful writer. You may be a wonderful gardener. You may be an incredible chef. And this has come up in various ways that you've not really nurtured. It's just there. So it's really important that once, with those healthy boundaries that we spoke about, and you've got that space, is start feeling into, well, what are my gifts that I can work on in this space? And realizing that very possibly, if you have a fear of being on stage, if you have a fear of speaking in public, if you have various fears that come up, it may be that is your greatest gift, my gorgeous. Okay? So now you know how to go into that environment and to feel into what's right for you. I'm going to take you through a process, just very, very gently, to get you into a beautiful, neutral, parasympathetic state, so you can start reviewing and not relive, and you can start really feeling into what gift wants to come up. And this is something in my sessions, one-to-one sessions, that we go a lot deeper in, which is why I'm only doing just very, very gentle surface level, because I'm speaking to many and one size doesn't fit all. So this is very, very general. And I am going to channel in a way that comes through to help sensitives in the best way. So you may hear things that you don't agree with. You may feel things that you don't agree with. It's really important that you just feel into what works for you. Okay, so be in an open space, be in a space of accepting that whatever's supposed to come through for you, whatever you're supposed to see, whatever you're supposed to feel, you will have all of that. What's not for you, you're not going to remember, it's not relevant. Okay, so as you're going through this little process with me, this little journey, I would really like you to just be open-minded and understand that you will get exactly what you need. If you don't see anything, it doesn't matter. If you feel something and don't see anything, brilliant. If you don't feel anything and you don't see anything, that doesn't matter either. This is all about taking baby steps, and just you being in that moment, your mind, body, and your soul, just you taking this step is already putting you forward into who you were truly born to be. Just by taking this action, this is placing you forward onto that journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. Okay? So what I would like you to do is, if you're listening to this while you're going for a walk and you can find a tree, brilliant, do that. If you're listening to this and you're walking around, I invite you to do this when you're in a comfortable space, when you're back home. And if you're listening to this while you're driving, please don't do this. Press pause and listen to something else. Listen to the next episode or the previous episodes. Okay, so brilliant. So now, my gorgeous, what I would like you to do is uncross your arms and your legs and get yourself into a really comfortable position. If you want to get into a lotus position on the floor, that's fine with your legs crossed. Just make sure your arms are uncrossed. And if you're lying down or sitting down, please make sure that your arms and legs are uncrossed so you can just feel this flow. Wonderful. So what I would like you to do now is just place your hands on your tummy and just notice the rise and the fall as you breathe in and you breathe out. You breathe in and you breathe out. And just by noticing your breath, you've already become more and more relaxed. You are already feeling into the parasympathetic state. You are already feeling your gorgeous, wonderful self in this beautiful sense and feeling of accepting. You're accepting all you are. You're accepting why you're here. You're accepting how you got to where you are. You're accepting that life happens around you. You're accepting that this is a moment for you to take your own time, to create your own space. And you're accepting that you don't have to be there for everybody all the time. You're accepting and allowing yourself this space. You're accepting and you're allowing yourself to take this moment to really get to know yourself. And you're accepting that you're not all Pollyanna and rainbows and butterflies. You're accepting all aspects of yourself in a beautiful, judgment-free zone. And there's no comparison. You compare yourself to where you've been, to how far you've come. There's no comparison. And if you wish to use comparison in a positive way, you look at somebody and you're inspired by them. You don't compare yourself in such a way that, oh, I'll never get there. You are inspired by them and you know that is your path. That's where you're going towards. So as we have our hands on our tummy, this is where we feel our intuition. This is where our intuition comes in. And you may be feeling that your stomach is pushing out. You may be feeling that your stomach is pushing in. And just notice, again, without any judgment, just notice what is happening for you in that sense. What is your intuition? What is your stomach? What's your body trying to tell you? It may be because you've been rushing around, you had no time for yourself, that as you have your hands on your tummy, it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable for you and you want to take your hands off your tummy because you're not used to connecting with yourself. And just allow this to be. Just accept that this is how it is. Accept that you're feeling uncomfortable. And as you accept that you feel uncomfortable, and that's okay, then feel how your shoulders have lowered because you're accepting exactly what state you're in at the moment. And just accept that as you're in this stillness, you may have thoughts of distraction, avoidance, and resistance. And that's okay. Just stay where you are, feel into the moment. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay not to know what's coming next. It's okay not to know, well, why am I doing this? Just allow any thoughts that come up. That's a thought. And with your hands on your tummy, I want you to tell yourself that you're safe. You're completely, completely safe. And I'd like you to tell yourself and feel inside yourself that there's a beautiful reason why you're here. You may already know that. Your soul already knows that. And the reason that you're listening to this is because your soul guided you here. Your spiritual team guided you here. And as uncomfortable as that may seem, if you don't believe in it, Just accept that that's a possibility. Just accept there's a reason that you're here. There's a reason that you're listening. There's a reason that you want to start accepting yourself. And accept that everything that happened to you beforehand has brought you to this beautiful place. So in this space, I would just like you to close those eyes. Just like you to feel with those eyes closed and just start to review. And you're only going to go back one step, just one. And what we're going to do is just feel into what that moment was. And it's going back as far back as you can to your childhood. And know that your soul is going to give you something to keep you safe. There's no danger. We're not reliving any trauma. You're completely safe. You're reviewing, and your soul will give you everything that you can handle. Your soul is not, or your spiritual team are not going to give you anything that you can't handle. You've absolutely got this. Know you're held. Know you're safe. And just go back to that first moment. And it may be you think you're imagining this. It may be that you don't remember this. It may be you think, well, this is a load of old codswallop. Just accept that. It may be that you push this memory down. It may be that you're not seeing anything. You're just feeling something. So accept that. Just accept where you are. And just go back as far as you can to the beginning of where your gift, we're just choosing one, was first put down. And all we're doing is reviewing and be in that moment. See who's there. And if you don't see anything, just feel it. And if you don't see or feel anything, just know you are taking the steps for this. So see who's there. And just you're an onlooker. You're reviewing. You're not in the situation. And just notice what's happening. And I would like you to see that gift just in front of you as you're looking at this moment, as a beautiful flame, a gorgeous spark in front of you. And as this situation happens with whoever's here, however you're being told it's not for you, however you're being guided in another direction, however you're being told something silly, stop doing that. That's rubbish. That's nonsense. You're too sensitive. I would just really like you to notice how gorgeous that flame is. That beautiful spark in front of you. And as this moment is happening, that beautiful spark in front of you is staying as strong as it is. It hasn't changed. It is still there. It is still there for you to nurture, for you to start embracing, for you to start feeling that beautiful energy of the spark of your gift. And that's all we're going to do. So just very, very gently, with kindness and compassion for whoever's with you and yourself, just come back from that moment and take your pen to paper when you're ready. I'll bring you back and just write down everything that you remembered or saw or felt, and know that's exactly right for you. Not for anybody else. It's exactly right for you. Okay? So very gently, my gorgeous, still with your hands on your tummy, wherever you are. If you're sitting on the floor, cross-legged, just bow your head very gently. And if you're sat elsewhere, bow your head very gently. And if you're lying down, just try and slightly nod your head down. Do some really gentle shoulder rolls. Really gentle. And then when you're ready, open those gorgeous eyes. Put your pen to paper. Thank your tummy. Thank your intuition. Thank your mind, body, and soul. And write down whatever you feel, whatever comes up. And it can be absolutely anything. It can be what you saw. It can be what you felt. It could even be what you didn't see, what you didn't feel. Just write whatever comes up and get that all down. And I would say spend 20, 25 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever feels right for you. Just get it all down. No thinking, just feeling. Just let that pen go. Okay? So that is the first step of the reviewing. All right, my gorgeous? So that's a really beautiful process just to gently take you into that space. And we can go back and back and back to that. And remember, it's just the one gift to start with. So if that gift's coming up for you, write it down. If it's not coming up for you, write that down as well. Just write everything down with absolutely no judgment. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're seeing, if you thought that was a load of rubbish, write that down as well. Just be really honest with yourself. Okay? And the next episode, I'm going to take you through another process, which is the follow-on from that, of what you may have written down and how we can work with that. All right? So for now, my gorgeous, here is to your self-acceptance. Here is to your self-empowerment.
Thank you so much love for joining me for this episode of Accepting. Please do stay tuned for future episodes and also subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If there's anything at all that you'd like me to cover in future episodes, please get in touch and let me know. You can also follow me on Instagram at The Acceptance Coach and on TikTok at Solution Union 99. And if you'd like to have any coaching at all, or you would like to discuss this, do book an expansion call. For now, I'm your host, Aline, and to your self-acceptance, gorgeous, with so much love.